Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a very serious show, but before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit all notifications to be notified the second we publish our content. Let me go ahead and get into this story here for you guys. This is one that I couldn't even believe, and it was something that I wasn't privy to. But apparently, in the elimination game between the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks, Patrick Beverly was on the sideline, on the bench, on the Bucks bench, and apparently he was getting into it with a fan that was sitting behind the team. And I don't know what was said. Next thing you know, you see Patrick Beverly throw the ball, and it hits some lady in the head. Then they throw the ball back, and he throws the ball again, which is like already crazy, right? Then they get to the post-game interview when they're interviewing the players in the locker room. And then for whatever reason, this lady from ESPN, I can't remember the reporter's name, tries to start to talk to Patrick Beverly and ask him questions. And then Patrick Beverly goes off into some, "Are you subscribed to my podcast?" And the lady says, "No, I don't listen to your podcast." And then Patrick Beverly goes, "Well, if you don't listen to my podcast, you can't watch. I'm not answering your question." A decision that he made in that moment ended up getting him banned from ESPN, where ESPN put out a statement on their Instagram page saying that Patrick Beverly has been banned from ESPN for life for his refusal to answer a question from a reporter asking a question after the game. And then subsequently, he goes out on the internet and then posts a public apology to her. And then she says she accepts the apology. And that was that. And a lot of people within the NBA community have been reacting to Patrick Beverly in a negative way, justifiably, for his actions. But one of those people was longtime critic Nick Wright on First Things First. And when the issue was initially tabled, the first person that spoke was Chris Broussard. And then after that, it came time for Nick Wright, who I always disagree with. He now took the floor to then essentially react to the current events surrounding Patrick Beverly. And when it came time for him to speak, Nick Wright totally ethered Patrick Beverly from the beginning of his career all the way to the present day. Before we even get into what Nick Wright had to say about Patrick Beverly, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select two or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting two entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is going to play exactly what Nick Wright had to say about Patrick Beverly on First Things First. And then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Nick Wright had to say here.
So I've seen the whole journey, Pat, and I'm going to go through it for the audience because it's as embarrassing as anything that happened last night. From when you got to Houston, I was there. You were thrilled to be in the league. Happiest guy in the world, hanging out at Onyx at 3 in the morning with your ridiculous fake chains because you couldn't get into Dreams yet. I understand. I was in a similar spot, buddy. And you went from that to whatever you've become, a delusional, cheap shot artist, misogynistic clown, promoting your podcast at the expense of your career, which to its credit, let me check, while still behind Andy Roddick's tennis podcast and your own teammates pod, you are ahead of Bear Grease by Clay Newcomb. So good luck with it. So how did you get here? And how did Pat Bev become a guy that we talk about despite the Basketball Reference page? A creation of your own delusion in Houston. One and done every year that you played. You know how they broke through to make the conference finals? I don't know, but I know you were out that year. Then they didn't have another playoff run till they traded you and then promptly made another conference finals. So what happened then? You went to the Clippers and you beat Kevin Durant in a basketball game and talked about it. And then he promptly dropped 50 on you and reminded everyone who he was and who you were. That offseason, you then declared to anyone who would listen, the next 5 years are mine. Steph Curry's had his time. By the way, those 5 years ended literally last night. It's been 5 years since then. How did that go, those 5 years? Well, the first year, what happened in the bubble? You started the bubble by disrespecting Michelle Roberts in front of your colleagues, and they had to talk you down from it. You ended the bubble by being a key part of the biggest gag job in the last 30 years in the NBA. What did you do the next season? Then next year, Ty Lue's big adjustment, the one time the Clippers are going on a playoff run. You remember what it was? Sitting your ass on the bench. That's what turned that playoff run around. How did that playoff run end? Oh, yeah. With Chris Paul having the best game of his life on you, and you dealing with it by shoving a man in the back when he wasn't looking, and then going on TV and calling a legend of the game a cone. What then happened after that? 2022, you won your championship. Unfortunately, it was a play-in game, and you celebrated like it was. And then 2023 to 2024, you have been on the Jazz, the Lakers, the Magic, the Bulls, the Sixers, and the Bucks, and not a single one of them wanted to keep you around. And you ended that tenure by throwing a basketball at a woman's head, getting it back, throwing it at another fan, and then yelling at another woman in the locker room because she doesn't listen to your terrible podcast. So if this was your last moment in the league, good riddance. Won't be missed, won't be memorable. I mean, congrats for creating something out of thin air like the Wizard of Oz that never should have existed, to where you're a guy that's talked about, but unnecessary from start to finish, pal.
So you heard Nick Wright's take on the issues. What are my thoughts? First of all, I think Nick Wright is 100% in bounds. 100%. What Patrick Beverly did was absolutely inexcusable. There is no defense for it, number one, for the way he spoke to that reporter. Number two, for what he did to those fans. I don't care how upset you are. For you to throw a ball at somebody, that means that you have lost total control of yourself. And had it been the other way around, if one of the fans threw the ball at the player sitting on the bench, that fan would have been escorted out the building. Now, to be fair, Patrick Beverly was escorted off the bench. But that's totally inexcusable. Totally inexcusable. And then when moments like this occur, you then now start to go back and start to think of other things that have occurred and incidents that have occurred surrounding Patrick Beverly. I saw this series. I remember this series against the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul. At the end of the game, he just walks behind Chris Paul and pushes him right on the back. And the guy almost had whiplash. Now, he didn't hit him the way, let's say, Nikola Jokic hit Markieff Morris. That one caused him to be out for a long time, but it's still that whiplash in the back of your neck, right? That's a dangerous play. Patrick Beverly did that. That was a moment where he lost control. And the part about, do you listen to my podcast, is just crazy to me. Why is your podcast even on your mind in a moment like that? Your team has been eliminated. Why are you thinking about your podcast? Why is this even something that's on your mind at this present moment, a podcast? Right? So to me, listen, I think Nick Wright, what he said was 100% inbounds. Patrick Beverly was totally at fault in this situation, and I don't think there's any defense to it. You heard what Charles Barkley said. Charles Barkley said, you're going to get a hefty fine, my boy, or a suspension or whatever it is, and he should. There's absolutely zero defense for that. To throw the ball, you can say, okay, I lost myself. Then you throw the ball, and then you throw it again? No. That's 100% inexcusable, and that's just something that should not take place. in an NBA environment. And if it does, it needs to be dealt with seriously, because you can't set the precedence for that. You absolutely cannot. I can understand having a competitive fire within you, but that's just absolutely crossing the line. And the part about not answering her question and ask her if she's supported, like what are we doing? Like, why is that even on your mind? Why is that even on your mind in a moment like that? So these are my thoughts. What I want to know from you guys is simply this: what are your thoughts on what Nick Wright had to say? Do you think it was inbound and out of bounds? And number two, what do you think about the analysis we put forward today? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.